Good morning. We will call this regular commission meeting to order at 9 o'clock. Can I get a roll call?
Commissioner Graybill,
Here.
Commissioner Elbrock,
Here.
Commissioner Gibbs,
Here.
Commissioner Smith-Casford here.
Let the record reflect that there is a quorum. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Sorry.
Well, you didn't lead us.
Can I get motion to approve the agenda?
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Agenda is approved as presented. Can I get a motion to approve the minutes of the August 2nd, 2025 regular commission meeting?
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Minutes are approved. We'll move into the superintendent's report.
I don't see or not.
Or not.
Is she okay?
Okay, we'll go to the CMO report. Stephen?
Good morning. So the mechanical report for today, right now both Antonino and Chama shops are gearing up for winter and winter maintenance. The locomotives here, the 168 will need an annual this winter, and we have no major work plan for it other than paint job. The 315 passed its annual inspection here a week or so ago after replacing 26 crown stays. It's going to be spending the winter at the Railroad Museum at Golden and return back to us here at Cumbers and Toltec in May. It won't need an annual inspection until this coming October. In spring, the 463 passed its annual inspection. It'll be moving to Antonino soon. Work will be done this winter on the tender and trailing truck after the Christmas trains. We were planning on using it for the Christmas trains over there. It will not need an annual inspection until November of next year. And it is due for a 1472-day inspection after the 2027 season. The 44 has been winterized, and it's going to wait its turn for overhaul in the shop. Is used up almost all of its 1472 operating days and will not have any winter or any work done at this winter. It will be out of service for several years. It's going to need a boiler overhaul, running gear overhaul, and we're anticipating approximately $2 million worth of work it's going to be needing. 47 is due for a 5-year inspection this winter, annual inspection, and some extensive running gear work after the Christmas trains are done. It will be the one running here out of Chama for Christmas. The 48 is going to be getting new tires this winter, annual inspection, new tender tank, as well as also getting extensive running gear work. It's already in the shop getting winterized and getting ready to remove its drivers to replace the tires. 49 has its wheels back from Pennsylvania from the work that was done to them, including 1 new axle, 4 new crank pins, and turning the tires. It got new crown brasses this summer. They'll be getting new hub liners, spring rigging overhaul, and an annual inspection has already been done on it last spring. Here in a couple weeks, the boiler will be coming off the 492 to go to Antonino to start its 1472-day inspection. It will be spending the winter there getting worked on. We'll probably start the running gear on that after the 487 is back in service. Diesel 15 is operable, but we need to do some work to it, including some new water pumps and a new reverser as we are able to track those parts down. 19 is up and running. Our new diesel, the 114, after getting bugs worked out of it this summer, has been used on quite a few work trains, has served on a couple passenger trains when we've needed to take a steam engine out of service. That is what I got for today.
Questions?
Pretty lengthy list of work that needs to be done.
A lot of work.
But
We're gonna be busy this winter.
it's good to quantify that before
Yeah, and I have a
before
scope
the
of
work season starts.
Yeah, and I got a scope of work put together for each one of the engines of what all we need to do this winter.
Stephen, you did, the crews did a huge amount of capital work on 463 and 489 over the summer.
Yes.
And that's been a real change in scheduling and accomplishment. So congratulations.
Yeah, the 463 got new tires this summer, new crown brasses this summer, and they're just finishing up on new rod brasses, and in amongst also running trains all summer and keeping the engines running.
Yeah, they did an excellent job. Greatly appreciated.
Yes, sir.
On the 489, it's gonna winter over here,
Yes.
and on the 492, when do you expect to have that completed?
When it's done,
Okay.
approximately 2 years.
Couple of years. Okay,
Yeah.
Thanks. Thank you.
Anything else?
Anything else? Thank you very much.
Thanks, Stephen.
Appreciate all your hard work.
Thank you.
Sorry I was late, but had other things to do. Sorry. More
Chasing
important,
cows.
you know. No. Pretty much. I thought we had a pretty good summer. You know, we okay. We we started out kind of slow, but everything started coming back together. You know, it's an operation that involves a lot of equipment, a lot of moving parts. You know, and as we go, things happen, and when things happen, we got to get in a different mode, and that's what we jump on to work on to fix. You know, priorities start coming into us. So as we went on, you know, June was very slow for us. July didn't help much. August never does. But come September, we really got busy, and it's really surprising what the numbers did in September and through October all the way to the end. You know, and as we go along, you know, something that we got to think about is, you know, how do we compensate for a lot of this stuff? Well, that's where the winter work will come in. You know, we got a lot of winter work to do this winter, and to be prepared for this coming spring. And as we go through if we're able to accomplish all our winter work in time and everything, all our equipment will be better up to par. We'll be able to focus more on the daily activities instead of having to do catch-up work. You know, we did spend a majority of the summer just trying to do a lot of catch-up work that we had fallen behind on. So that's pretty much on the operation. We're getting ready to start we'll start on Monday. We're going to start doing all our annuals, all our inspections. We'll start working all our our car fleet. We'll go through each car individually and do any upkeeps that we have to do on those. And as soon as we're able to get a little caught up on to get cars over here for the Christmas trains and all that, and then we will start doing the major changes on our on any of our coaches that we want to change out to make them a little bit more presentable for the summer tourist. You know, we're going to be changing and fixing one of our handicap coaches, turn it around and make it a handicap plus concession car. That'll help us. Also, we're looking at we're gonna try to see if we can put together another parlor car coach, and we're looking at trying to see. We've started ordering all the materials for it, and we'll try to see if we can get that. I'm going to say if we can get it between 75 and 85% complete by the beginning of the summer, we might be able to finish it and have it ready for the fall season, if not sooner. So that's where we're at on that. Now, on our track programs, we actually got. We installed a little over 1,500 ties. You know, we're under our goal, but we still got some time that we can still get some more in. And I figure if everything goes right, we should still be able to get probably another 500-600 ties in. We're trying to move as much rock for our track bed as possible right now. As long as the big diesel keeps working for us, we'll keep that going till we're able to dump the remaining 4,000 tons that are on the ground. You know, that should come, you know, fairly easy if we don't have no problems there. You know, but that's stuff that we have to get accomplished. But we fell behind on ties. But one of the things that we failed to look at is the projects that were accomplished through the help of the track program, because we did get the Long Creek culverts repaired, and that pulled our all our track crew from doing tie work into another project that, you know, and we finished that off. So that's off our table now. So that's taken care of. We also used them to you know, to clean up. We cleaned up a lot of the right of way, and we've got to where we've cleaned up a lot of the ties that were there from years before, and all that got cleaned up and got moved to where they're more centralized, to where we can come in with the loader and pick them up, and we'll start moving those out here this coming week. We should be able to start moving some of those out. So if anybody wants used ties, we do have a bunch of them available, you know, for the taking. So please come and get them, and you know, but that's there. And we're also looking at trying to clean up a lot of the trees that were cut during the fire mitigation, and that we'll start hauling those out. And as we're going now, we're moving the excavator from where it's working, and as he keeps moving on east from Osier, we'll be picking up stuff as we're going. They're going to be ditching, and while he's not ditching, we'll load and back and forth, trying to utilize the equipment in two different places. You know, so that's coming on that. Other than that, I will say I think all your employees did a hell of a job this summer, and I think a lot of them put up with a lot of crap, and we don't see what, you know, exactly what goes on, but when you're out there, you know, there's a lot of things that get said, and we have to just turn the other way. And at the end of the day, you just take it home try to forget about it. But I think they, all your employees need a big applause for what they did. Every department stepped up to the plate to get your railroad, working the way it should be. And my opinion is they did one good job. We accomplished a lot.
You're absolutely right. They accomplished a monumental task again, but especially this year. So please pass on. I hope they're listening how much we appreciate them.
Any other questions?
We do have a
Job steward.
From the board, from the commission? No. No questions from the commission? Tom?
I had one real quick question for you, Marvin. The mitigation stuff, y'all are picking up the logs, the solids. What about
Yes.
all those needles that are all right there by the track that are gonna be totally dry next year? I mean,
Oh,
are we worried about fire
hopefully-
from those?
Hopefully, a lot of the needles and all that, what I've been told is those should rot away over the winter.
Okay.
Yeah. If not,
If not, are we gonna have some way of trying to clean them up?
if not, what we'll do, we'll run the ballast regulator with the broom,
Okay.
and that'll blow them out. to dry.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the other thing is the one, is writing as a docent that, and talking to the docents, the one complaint, was areas that hadn't gotten tamped. And I know there was all kinds of challenges with the tamper early in the year. Is that a bigger emphasis next year, you think, to get the track really smooth? Some of that between Apache Canyon and Los Pinos was rough.
Right now, in the last month and a half, we've tamped over 7 miles of that
I
rock
know you
that's been
have.
put in there.
Will that need to be retamped again in the spring?
No,
Okay,
that's already tamped and dressed.
okay, I didn't know if freeze thaw would.
Yeah, it's already been finished.
Okay, cool, thanks.
John?
A couple of questions, Marvin, and thanks for the report. What's the status now of the water tank at Byway?
The water tank at Lava is in working condition. It's full of water at this point. Yeah. We have set up the water tank to where we can take a tank car up there and pump from the tank car into the water tank, fill it up, and then we'll go ahead and get the water tank out of it. So, but it's in working condition. It was used in this past. They used it on this past schedule. Huh? It holds. I'm going to say roughly, probably about 12,000 gallons. We didn't get up 12,000 gallons in there. We got it up to a certain point, and we were happy with that.
Okay, and then just generally, what about the water condition for sublet and for?
The water condition at Sublet is excellent. We repaired the water lines at Sublet. That water line is in perfect condition right now. Right now the tank's overflowing. The Cresco water line, we found out where we had the problems. We fixed the problems, and that one's doing great also.
Okay. So Cresco is.
I mean, Cresco, we gotta redo the line. Cresco, the line is plugged from the highway down to the tank.
And then Cumbres is.
The Cumbres is the one that we redid. We worked on and fixed. Yeah.
Oh, good. Excellent. Thank you.
Anything else? Thank you, Marvin.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Appreciate the
Marvin.
report. Thanks to everybody.
What'd you give him?
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Morning.
So I'll just be going over what is going on in my department, what we're seeing. So, to say the least, we had a rough start, but our revenue, and we didn't see much difference in our revenue from prior year. So we sat at about a 4.759. But our passenger count, we did see about a 15% decrease from prior year. So we're about 29,000 passengers for the season. So I'm just going to jump into each fund like I usually do. So our first set of financial statements is the historic preservation. We the commission and HPA are super quiet, but they still have some activity, some very important activity that happens in them. So for the review of the P&L for the fiscal year to date, so we see about a 37% decrease from prior year in our income. So our total income has decreased about 0.8%. But we do see an increases in expenses such as our management liability insurance, and that is pretty much across the board for all funds. The balance sheet analysis reflects an increase of about 16%, and we do see an increase in our total assets. So our total liabilities and equities have increased from prior year as well. And the commission fund, the P&L statement reflects an increase of our net income. So the total income has increased from prior year about 8%. And that's primarily due to the increase of our general fund support that we receive from the states. We do see an increase in expenses about 5. And as we review the fiscal year to date profit and loss, the insurance has increased as well as utilities. Total income has increased from prior year. The balance sheet reflects a decrease in assets about 14%. That includes our bank accounts and our current assets. The total liabilities and equity for the balance sheet has decreased about 26% from prior year. As we analyze the commission budget, so it's a pretty straightforward budget. We like to keep it a balanced budget as we like to show that to the states. We are currently 29% under budget for the first quarter of the fiscal year. In reviewing the CTO, so this is the big one, we do see an increase in our operational revenue in a whole $1,700, but we'll take it, considering our passenger count did decrease from prior year. So we do see a decrease of about 8,000 from prior year, and our total expenses have increased. And majority of those are payroll expenses, supplies and services, G&A, utilities, and we do see a increase in insurance. Our operational revenue, or expenses, have gone down from prior year, as well as advertising and marketing, and we do have an NOI that is less than prior year. Our total expenses have decreased, and to conclude the P&L for the CTO company, we do see a decrease from prior year as well. In the reviewing the balance sheet, the operating company, our total assets have decreased, and that's mainly from current assets. And we do see an increase in our bank accounts, which is driven by about 93% in the ticket revenue account. So that is our strong account. And again, that's just from ticket revenue. Our total liabilities have increased about 7%, and concluding the balance sheet statement, we do see a decrease in total liabilities and equities. And then our capital spending, we did, as Marvin said, we did a lot of capital spending through the summer, so we do see some reimbursements from the state of Colorado. We have signed the master task order for fiscal year 25-26, so we're ready to go with Colorado. But that pretty much concludes it for me at this point on the financial statements.
Questions for Alicia?
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, and
Thank you very much.
I think we're fortunate to have a good revenue year in relation to the ridership. So,
And I would anticipate that we would have had, if we would have had a smoother start to the season, I think we would have seen just a little bit more in our passenger count as well as our operational revenue. So that did affect us, but we did come out a lot better than I think we were all anticipating.
definitely. Thank you.
Yep. Thanks.
Marketing report, Robert?
Good morning, everyone.
Morning.
Thanks for being here. My name is Robert Stefanski. I'm the new sales and marketing manager here. This is my third week, so I'm still quite brand new. So I thought I would give a quick introduction about myself and my background. I've been in marketing and communications for over 12 years. I have a diverse experience and background. I have helped businesses grow online revenue in 6 figures, online revenue. I've also helped manage 6-figure budgets. I've also worked with nonprofits. I've also worked with mission-driven organizations that didn't have as much resources and budget, so know how to do more with less. Have a diverse skill set that is beneficial to the railroad in the form of streamlining processes, improving efficiencies, cutting costs in the form of our marketing efforts. So I think I have a lot of experience to offer in that regard. I lived in San Luis Valley for about 3 years now. I live in San Luis, building an off-grid homestead. Love the area, love the history, love learning about history. So when this opportunity came up, I was very excited about it. Seemed like a natural fit. History, preservation, culture, determination, the power of teamwork, human ingenuity. Those are all things that I think that are associated with the railroad. It has a beautiful story to tell, has an important story to tell, and happy to be a part of it and do what I can to share that story with the world. And it is being noticed around the world. This year, the railroad was recognized as the #1 fall destination in the world by Japan Rail magazine. Been picked up by several outlets around the world, in Germany, elsewhere. New York Times and Travel and Leisure has been picking it up as well. We also are frequently featured in top 10, best of fall rides, train rides, and especially not Yahoo News and such. So we are being recognized around the world. We do a variety of marketing efforts in the form of online, print, TV, radio ads. All of our efforts this year have reached over 60 million people. Our social media presence is quite strong. Our Facebook presence is particularly strong. We have reached over 25 million people. We've reached over 3 million views. Our engagement is very strong, about 5%, which is almost 4% above the industry standard. So people love engaging with us. People love posting their photos, their videos, sharing their stories with us. So one of the things we'll be looking at is how to increase engagement, how to share the stories either on our website or just looking to reshare people's experience with us and share that with others. So let's see. Looking forward, there's a lot of opportunity to improve our efficiencies, what we're doing with our marketing efforts. We have a strong local and regional marketing presence. 9 out of our top 10 local or zip codes that our customers are coming from are in New Mexico, and number 2 is Pagosa Springs. So we'll be looking at strengthening the regional marketing efforts, especially in Colorado. We're looking to expand our efforts in the Denver area. We're going to be looking at expanding our offerings in the form of special themed rides. So how can we bring in more riders? How can we attract a wider demographic of audiences? So how do we attract younger audiences? So we're looking at ways to improve that and do better in that regard. So lots of ideas bouncing around to do that. There's other opportunities to expand our content development in the form of blog posts and articles. I think that will really help in our search marketing efforts. So lots of ideas to kind of expand our presence, especially online, establish ourselves as experts in history, steam trains, and such like that. So lots of plans for the next season. Looking really forward to strengthening our efforts and growing our ridership. I think that's all I have. If there's any questions.
Questions from the board?
None from me. Thank
Okay.
you, Robert.
No.
Great.
Tom?
Real quick, one thing,
Yes,
marketing change, during the winter or later, closer to the season? Where do you expect to make the majority of your changes in the programs?
Well, we're probably currently, really honestly, in the off season. So we're planning right now to do the budget and planning. So the biggest changes are coming kind of like right now currently.
Okay.
So right now we're kind of in the assessment planning phase of.
So execution will be in the spring, early spring, presumably.
I would say so. Yeah. I mean, the executing is kind of will be ongoing, I would say. But yeah, I think the majority of the efforts will probably be in spring, maybe early spring. It's hard to say, but it's especially because we're currently executing. Yeah, we're kind of trying to get a sense of team, like who we want to be working with to help us, get our word out, PR efforts and stuff like that.
But
So
recent social media posts have been great. I mean, keep that up.
yeah. We plan to do that throughout the season. I know we've got I think we have a tree lighting event coming up on the 10th. So there's a lot of events that are coming up that and also people can continue to share their experience with us. We love hearing about people reminiscing about their time. I see lots of comments that they have it's been 20 years since they've read. So one thing we are currently doing is doing a better job of responding to those comments and questions. So if I see a comment that says it's been 20 years, I'm like, oh, you guys need to be coming back, and so it's really great to hear those kind of stories. And so we would love to just continue resharing those kind of stories. So there's an opportunity for us to just be active on social media throughout the entire year. So
You're doing great.
great, thank you. All right,
Thank you.
thanks
Thank
everyone.
you,
Robert. CEO report, Eric.
Alrighty. All right, I have you can't see it, I can, I'll talk to it. I created a slide deck just to help me kind of talk through the journey that we're on right now. And really the title of this is sort of a 2025 season recap and a 2026 vision. So I'm gonna take you through this, and happy to share it as well afterwards. Obviously this year was a season of resilience, whereby we had headwinds at the beginning. We began to recover, we began to put in place actions and measures to ensure that our equipment continues to run, be available, ensure the track continues to be operable, sort of well prepared for the future. A lot of change in terms of team mix, sort of innovation around how we look at the railroad itself and how we look at it as a business. And so that has been a lot of what's been going on from this season's perspective. And then we're looking to, I think most of you, if I didn't meet with you guys in the last couple of weeks or have talked to you in the last couple of weeks, really the 2026 schedule is the opportunity for us to paint a vision for the railroad for the future. And what I mean by that is preserve the historical runs we've done, but then extend the experiences to those around the world to give them a reason to come and experience the Combers and Toltec. We've looked at many statistics around our demographic, around our ridership, and we've seen a continued decrease in our historical core riders. Some of that is the length of the train ride itself. Some of that is the destination itself. So, we are looking at we actually have developed several new experiences, and I'll talk to that in a little bit, around how can we get them to Chama and Antonido to ride for 2-3 hours, maybe 4 hours. And what we saw this past season is we ran a couple of scenarios where we did the dark sky train, just two pilots, to see what that would do for us. The first one, it was steam. It was from Antonido to Bighorn. We had a dark sky astrophotographer and astronomer with us to help support the guests in their endeavor to experience this openness and vastness. And the first one was sort of oversold, if you will. And the other one we did was a full moon sky. So we're going to learn, right? So the full moon sky was not as well attended, but we did do it a different night. So we're looking at all kinds of different data points to see how can we hone in on what will be compelling and capable of the rider so they can come and experience these going forward. But the dark sky train was very interesting. We've continued to get very good accolades and feedback from guests. They continue to send their pictures in, and we'll begin to share those more and more. But that's the example of sort of product development that we're doing. So this is not, we didn't make up this process. It's a process for product development whereby we've prescribed numerous experiences for next season. And I'll tell you a little bit more about that as we go in. But this is really the chance for us to not only innovate from our ride and experience perspective. It's a chance for us to look inwards at our shop capabilities, how we do things. Do we have the right equipment for the future to allow us to be efficient and capable to develop and produce our own parts, for example, things like that. So it's really a story of innovation going forward. A little bit on the 2025 operating schedule. I know Alicia talked to this, but 29,333 riders compared to, what was that, 30, got my little sheet here. So compared to 37 last season. So I see that is, and our revenue was relatively strong compared, on a per guest basis this season. one of my challenges that I see when we look at these numbers is the ridership itself. Our goal is not only to generate enough revenue to support the railroad, its teams, its functions, but also drive enough traffic into the communities so the communities begin and continue to see the relevant traffic that the businesses need to see to make sure they're relevant and they're sustainable. So we will be looking at sort of different mixes, price mixes, product mixes, to ensure that we can get more people here, get them compelled, and get them on the train. And really, the short trains is sort of an opportunity for us to introduce it in snippets. And then what we saw on the dark sky trains is probably maybe a dozen passengers came back and rode the full train, and whether it was the next day or a week or two later. So we're hoping this introduction to the railroad is going to entice folks to come back and experience what the heck is the rest of this thing about if I just saw a snippet of it. So anyway, so we're gonna be working on that. The event trains will drive success. I don't know if many of you sort of read the news around travel tourism. Experiences are now the gold standard. It's no longer just the destination. It's no longer just a unit. It is really about what can I get out of something that is lasting for me. What's the memories that I can make with my family, with my loved ones, with my friends, and we have to afford that to the guests that we're trying to attract. So, last year examples, we had wine trains, we had dinner trains, we had beer trains. All of those went over extremely well, and we're going to look at capitalizing on that and expanding those in the next season, as well as poker trains and mariachi trains and chuck wagon dinner trains, and we're going to bring the botany train back and the geology trains. So we're going to capitalize on what we know works and identify how we can make those better, and sort of pull more guests in. But this is sort of the tip of the iceberg. And again, product development, we design, we try to fail on paper, we try to prove it on paper, and then we'll do pilots where we see things are relevant and have the possibility of success, and then we'll pilot them, meaning we'll run the trains, we'll run the experiences and see how it goes, and then we'll sort of tweak and pivot as we need to ensure that we've got something solid going into the future, and then we'll continue to program that. So what we don't want to do is we don't want to introduce new experiences for guests, which, by the way, the dark skies, we've got numerous people that have asked, are you going to redo this next season? We want to come. We'll continue to do them until we see the reason to sunset them. No pun intended. Okay. Infrastructure investment, I think both Marvin and Steven spoke to this, but we're going through a really deep planning on sort of the modernization of our facilities in terms of let's call it rebuilding of the pavilion, and looking at what do we do to address the roundhouse. How do we even address guest-oriented features and functions that we don't have? The railroad hasn't really done a great job historically on focusing on the guest experience, and so I want to see an allocation of capital that's targeted to improving the guest experience itself. And there's lots of different things that could mean, but I think that's what we owe our guests, because they come here, they want to enjoy themselves, not just on the train, but the entire environment when they're with us. The rolling stock maintenance and restoration, that continues to be something we're very focused on, and obviously with our partners, the Friends. Safety system enhancements in terms of how do we do pre-checks and double pre-checks to make sure everything is buttoned up. So I'll leave that there. Guest amenity improvements, right? So how do we sort of deliver things, amenities, and that the guests expect that we may not have done yet? And we can look around at the competing railways around the country, around the world, and there are some sort of proven best practices there. But we're going to test some things. We're going to have more varied retail products. If you think about it today, our retail offering is geared to sort of middle market, I would say. And if you think about coming here in the fall, families are spending over $1,000. So we want to provide a full scope of retail options and products for a guest to come away with maybe a trinket, or maybe something more elaborate that's sustainable and more lasting for their family. So we'll be looking into what we do there. Technology infrastructure upgrades as well. We're looking at how do we use phones? I mean, we have soft phones now. Do we really need hard phones? Clearly, reservations and other departments would. And is our reservation system doing what we need it to do in a way that's appealing and appeasing to our guests and helpful for our operation? So we're looking at all these different things. So I think we've talked about the financial position and governance. We are looking at the, closing out the 2025 fiscal management in terms of tightening up how we manage capital. We now have documents and structure, so it's extremely transparent and visible for the entire team, understanding where our tranches came from the states, what uses are they applicable to, where we are in the spend and planning, and ensuring that we always meet our goals and objectives and, frankly, mandates to spend the capital in the time frame that states give us. So we're doing that. Audit and compliance, sort of in the same realm, ensuring that we are compliant with our capital, compliant with state regulations, all of that. And then the 2026 primary and master budget, that is something that Alicia and her team and I are working on. We have got a really good foundation for that. We've got to pull in things like retail and other ancillaries to make it a fulsome budget, and that is forthcoming. And then the capital projects I mentioned, the roundhouse, the pavilion, the locomotive program that Stephen has talked to and Marvin has talked to, the safety implementation. And then really, going forward, we're looking at collaboration and funding success. I want to be more proactive as an organization to the states. I'd like to be the group that provides proactive information and not wait for them to ask. And we have an understanding what their expectations are. So we need to improve those relationships, not just with the commission, but with the team itself. And so I'm looking forward to doing that. And looking at sort of the grant funding pipeline. Capital is sort of a tricky thing these days. So we've got to be prepared to find ancillary and alternative ways to generate capital, to execute on the things that we want to execute to make sure the railroad sustains itself. And then basically embracing innovation while preserving authenticity. And I'm going to speak to the schedule here in a moment. I know there's lots of interest in that, so we'll talk to that. But eventually, like Robert mentioned, that we're looking to expand our reach, targeting sort of all the experiential categories we talked about, photographers and geologists and astrophotography and all these things, and experience seekers. So what do they expect? There's lots of data out there to say what are the top experiences in the world today through lots of different organizations pursuing them. So we're gonna digest that and see what we can and can't do. History buffs, obviously, international visitors. We took a hit on international visitors this year, and it could be a hit for some time to come. And then families. Our goal is to grow our future riders. So let's get the rides in place and the experiences in place that allow families to come in and consume the railroad in a way that helps or supports their family in terms of these short trains. If you're coming in with a toddler and an infant, you probably can't spend the 8 hours, but let's give them the experience. So the kids get really interested and the families have a great time and they'll come back hopefully as a tradition. All right, so essentially the 2026 Experience Series launch is culinary journeys, photography expeditions, heritage deep dives, family adventures, seasonal celebrations, like I mentioned, the others, the pokers and all the music is going to be all important aspects of the experiences that we're going to offer. And of course, we are looking at, so I think Stephen and Marvin mentioned this about the accessibility features that we're looking for. We want to make sure that everybody, regardless of capability, has the ability to come and ride the Culberson Toltec. So we are making some improvements to our cars to allow more ADA accessible experiences, sensory experiences. I've done a bit of research on, I'm not a psychologist, but there is some research to say that folks that are on certain spectrums can enjoy sort of a calming effect by being on a railroad. So how can we tap into that to allow that community to come in to really experience it and provide that population, that demographic, the access as well. Community partnerships, I think Robert talked to this, but how do we support educational programs and how do we support local vendors in our pursuits as well? Community event collaborations, which we are doing, volunteer engagement opportunities, which we are doing. Clearly the Friends are a huge part of that today, and we're looking to expand that. And then I'm not going to spend a lot of time on the branding and marketing because I think Robert did a great job, but we're going to be strategic. We're going to be expanding our knowledge base, our data points, to not just guess, but to have data that supports our decisions. And that is the road we are on, and we are going to stay there. Obviously, the commission actions and recognition, the budget endorsements that we'll be speaking about as we sort of complete the budget. We will get the meeting calendar in place, both for the CTO and the commission, which it might be already posted for the rest of this fiscal year, next fiscal year. And then our staff recognitions in terms of let's make sure those that are contributing to the success of the railroad know they did it, know that they have a fundamental impact in the railroad, and this thing can't happen without them. And then preserving yesterday, inspiring tomorrow is really the theme as well, right? So let's protect what we know is important from a history, from a community perspective, and then let's inspire the rest of the world to come and ride the Culberson Toltec. And that's all I got for you. Now we will go into the schedule for a moment. Yeah, is that appropriate?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So let me give you the high level of the schedule, and I've talked to a lot of you here about it, but let's have a dialogue. So essentially, the train, the schedule next year is going to look like we're going to still have a train in every depot 6 days a week, right? And then there's going to be a different mode of transportation, meaning you're going to have we're going to sell the same number of tickets that we sold in Chama as we did last year for next year. We're going to sell the same number of tickets from Antonito to Chama next year. The difference is, and right now, I'm sure you guys are aware, every guest that comes and rides the long train, they take a bus ride. All right, it's either coming back to where their originating point, but somehow, some way, they're getting to the point of departure. So next season, beginning after the first weekend, for example, we're going to go into a mode of, and I'll paint it this way. So there'll be departures again from each depot. Those that arrive in Chama, and let's say, for example, the train is leaving from Antonito, they're going to get on the bus, and we're going to bus them to Antonito to come back to Chama, vice versa for Antonito. So if people are, arriving for the Chama train, and for example, if that's leaving, I think I mentioned that, out of Antonito. So the idea is to run the one train alternating from each depot, but allowing our guests to arrive as they have historically, and riding a bus as they have historically to get to the originating point or the departure point, so they can take the train and end up where they're going to end up. So I don't know if I described that well. I probably didn't. So
So you're saying the buses would all depart Chama to Antonito in the morning. Train would bring everybody back.
or and vice versa. Right.
But
And-
it's essentially one direction of bus travel per day.
That's right. Yeah, yeah. And we anticipate, honestly, we've looked at some of this in terms of statistics. We don't believe that this is going to cause any issue in terms of ridership. I've heard folks say, well, there's a big demand. I want to leave out of Chama only. Some of that's our own marketing, right? Some of that is, people know the Culberson Toltec in some cases as the Chama train, right? So how do we ensure that we tell the story of you're going to get the full experience of the Culberson Toltec, arrive where you're booking, we're going to get you to where you need to be to get on the train, and you're going to have the same experience, right? You're going to have lunch, you're going to have all these things. So that's the fundamental difference. And then, by the way, in September, so we're going to run that during the summer. In September, we're going to start running both trains, as we have today, right? Going both directions. So this is going to allow us to, be smarter about our train and car use, because if you think about it, we can add as many cars as we want. We'll just double head, right? So if we have 400 people going out of one side, we'll just add cars, right? So we have the ability to flex based on the demand. We were talking a little bit yesterday about we could free sell, up until a certain point. So we could, really stretch our capacity because it's sort of endless, at least within the constraints of our car system. So, and by the way, so that's going to be the core. And then within the core, which we haven't fully placed in the schedule, will be the experiences, right? So you'll have the Chama Express, the Chama Limited, you'll have the Antonito Express, you'll have Chuck Wagon dinners, you'll have poker nights, you'll have dark sky, all the things. And we're looking at multiple departures a day in some cases. So we may have the one long train a day, but then you're going to see a lot of different experiences populate the schedule to get that new population of riders introduced to the train and excited. And what I believe will happen is that we're gonna birth new long train riders, right? And again, I know change is a little scary, And I get that. I've done this for over 30 years, and we're not going to be silly about this. So we're going to plan, we're going to forecast, we're going to execute, and if we find issues in our execution, we're going to fix it. So we're not going to let these communities suffer because of poor decisions that we don't intend to make. So we'll be flexible and we'll pivot when we need to pivot. Does that make sense? Yeah, John.
Are you planning to have the bus departures at 8:30?
We're looking at that actually. That came up. So we had a little bit of a debate yesterday on this, right? Is 8:30 too early? Is it too late? And we had a split decision a little bit. I mean, some riders were like, hey, we thought we were going to get on the train at 8:30, not just take a bus ride. And because we've done what I've just described before. So we're going to look at what, and we're going to do survey work. So Robert's preparing surveys for us to talk to our guests, our prior guests, to understand what their desire might be. And we're going to look at the numbers. Because if we're leaving at 8:30, that could be a stretch for some folks to get here in time if they haven't been able to stay here. And let's say they're coming from, Pagosa or Alamosa or Taos. So we're going to look at that and then adjust where we need to adjust to make sure that we're accommodating guests so they can get here.
The other question is, based on capacity that you saw out of each end this year,
Yeah.
do you anticipate having enough motor coach seats available to supply that demand? In other words, if the train's only leaving out of Antonito,
Yeah.
will you be able to get enough people from Chama at 8:30?
Yeah. Yeah, and we spoke about this a little bit yesterday as well on some of the planning. Yes, so right now I think our contract is for 3 buses. We can add a bus so we can take 200 passengers, and we can flex, right? I think the good news is about our bus provider is that we're sort of off season for their core business, and so we're going to keep an eye on that to make sure we have that transportation capability. But we believe with 200, given the schedule, and I carried around one last week with me. It's a very large document because we're not just using it for scheduling purposes. We're using it to forecast, meaning we're gonna measure every single day around every single train trip to see what the passengers were, what the revenue was, what the costs are, so we can really tweak this and fine tune it to make sure that we're accommodating. So some of the numbers that we've been forecasting will inform us, what the historical motor coach requirements were, and then if we're planning on, let's say, incrementally adding 10 to 15%. More riders, will ensure that the bus capacity can handle that number of riders.
What kind of a ridership number are you anticipating for the 2026 season?
Yeah, I have that. Yeah, we're shooting honestly to get back to where we were 2024. Because if you think about the experiences that we're going to offer, and they're not going to be just one and dones, we could grow, right? So we're staying flexible. We have some goals for ridership, passengers, and revenue, but we're going to remain flexible in terms of if we have, let's call it 7 dinner trains planned. If we have overwhelming demand for the 7, we'll add another, right? We don't want to saturate ourselves to make it sort of just like plain vanilla. But we will expand the trains and the experiences that we have if we've got a huge number of people that are wanting them.
Okay. Do you anticipate a change in the fare structure?
So, not right now. So, for example, core, we're for the moment we're leaving that. And by the way, these are things that are being loaded into our reservation system as we speak. We do acknowledge that we have 2 different consumers, right? We have those that book the parlor cars, and we have those that book coach. And, I believe we're bearing this out in data right now, but if you look at our price increases from 24 to 25, and then you see our ridership drop a little bit, some of that could have been early season, sort of mishaps. But there is an idea that are we going to price ourselves out of the market for the middle market economy? And if that's the case, how do we adjust to ensure the volumes of people that are in that demographic can still join us and ride? So we're looking at that. We're going to make some decisions on, do we need to tweak that? And so I think some of the Converse Express will probably bring that price down. to allow more families to come and ride a more volume. But we're still analyzing kind of the long trip to make sure that we don't get it wrong.
Just way in depth, but are you forecasting day trains, regular trains, and then special events separately?
Yeah.
Do you have an idea of what the balance is right now?
Well, we've scattered, not all, but a huge volume of expresses right now, and we still have to put in the limiteds, which goes to Osier, right? So that's still like a 6.5 hour experience if you jump on it at Cumbres. The others we have some placeholders. So the schedule looks like we have probably 5 different rows under a day, right? So we've filled in the standard.
And those would be normal-ish
Yeah.
kind of trips.
Yes.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yes. Because we want the public to become, hey, remember last Thursday we did this? Let's go do that next Thursday. That kind of thing. Yeah.
All questions, comments? So I'll make a couple comments here, and I appreciate your presentation. It was excellent, and I think the thinking behind this new schedule is incredibly sound, because we saw this past summer season, especially trains departing from both stations at the same time, 40 or 50% full. So that's burning up crews, that's burning up equipment. Stephen just told us it's $2 million to do a 1472 on the 484. Nothing's getting less expensive, and it's very expensive to do the car work over the winter. So we hope to be preserving mileage on our equipment. The other part of this is the crews. If we're using our crews to a very significant extent, and we're burning them out. But the most efficient thing to do is to get that capacity onto one train. The other thing, there's no way that we could add all these new experiences in if the trains are always in operation from both terminals every day. And I think this is a very excellent plan, because it doesn't significantly change anything from a Chama or an Antonito departure for people other than some timing on a bus.
Right. Yeah, we've had many team members, some of them in this room, they don't take days off. I mean, it's 7 days a week. These folks are working like crazy because we have finite resources. That doesn't last very long for human beings. So we have to do something to gain a better handle on, unfortunately, the whole work-life balance. Well, it's a railroad. So, but we do need to provide some relief to our team so they can, sort of get rest and come back and continue the work that we do.
And I think the most important thing that this will let us do is expand our demographic, because our riders are aging out, and you see this everywhere, where people just don't want to devote a 7 or 8 hour time frame. Some people do. We're still going to offer that, but families especially can't afford a $600 trip or a $1,200 trip. So we're going to be able to offer a lot more to a variety of people, and especially getting in a younger demographic is imperative to us, because we start the tradition of riding the train at a younger age.
Right. This is a very complicated and complex evolution that we're going to be going through, right? So it's going to take a whole different sort of skill set, focus. We're going to be requiring partners that we've never contemplated having before to ensure we can deliver these experiences to our guests. So we're buckling up, to get most of this work done here in the next few months to get our programming down, and then Robert can begin to help market it, ensure that we are filling the seats that we need to fill, and we'll all be really closely correlated and informed as we move through this journey. Yeah, John.
With regard to employment and getting more rest for critical members of the team, it has been my experience over the years that people count on getting a certain amount of money to live on, and everything that results in fewer hours and potentially less money is not being well received.
Yeah.
That goes back to old time Georgetown and California and Alaska. So, how do you plan to get people more rest, but not, burn them out at the grocery store?
Yeah. Yeah, so I've talked to a few team members as well because they've raised this concern, and we have the daily train that we're running, right? The specials and experiences that we're going to be running. I think we're actually going to be short on resources because of the things that we're doing. So I don't anticipate that happening, but I'm still going to ensure that our team can have some rest time. And then provide enough train activity, experiences activity, and revenue activity that they can continue to pay their bills and have a successful career here at the railroad.
One last question on the regular trips. Has this been brought up with the concessionaire, and are they concerned about potential loss of the lunch business?
Our concessionaire agreement is up May 31st, so we're getting ready to go into an RFP process, and then we'll be introducing the requirements for not just the Osier dining, but the other dining experiences that we are going to deliver on the railroad.
And
Just to comment on what John is talking about, though, the regular schedule is essentially trying to reproduce 34 to 40,000 seats a year with 9 train crew, engine crew sets per week. That's spectacularly better. The special trains are on bread and butter on top of that. So food crew at lunch, same numbers over the course of the week. Food crew on the special trains, more numbers, all good. So I mean, for Max and the guys that run the engine, they're gonna have as much work. Hopefully it will be more fun work.
I think so. I mean, so this is a collective number of rider thing, right? So this is, I'm not talking about numbers from just the core. I'm talking about numbers that will produce from all of our activity, right?
Mayor Vijo?
Eric, thanks for stopping by. Thank the commission for being here. Like I said, the city hall is always open to you guys whenever you need it. But thanks for taking 30 minutes of your time to communicate with me. I'm not opposed to this. I think it could possibly work. Like you said, change is always difficult. But we gotta do what we gotta do to keep this railroad going. But what I would like to say as the mayor of the village of Chamo is we're in a lot better place than we were, say, 3 or 4 years ago. I want to assure you right now that we probably have the best operator in the state of New Mexico running our water. Our tanks are full. Our sewers in excellent condition. I had heard rumors when I came on, the Friends of the Railroad had moved their work sessions to Antonito because they didn't know if they were going to have good water. That's not the case anymore. So we welcome the Friends back. The riders are assured now there's going to be good water in town. There's going to be water in town. And from our standpoint, I know as the mayor of the village of Chama, I stand behind this train. It's the lifeblood of our community. You know, you have the choro down by TA and Los Ojos, and they claim the choro. If you're born and raised in Chama, we claim the train. That's ours.
Right.
The Tumbers and Tote is Chama. And so, I appreciate all of you guys' hard work to try and keep this thing going, because that's what it is, it's hard work.
Yeah.
And my only suggestion is maybe quarterly meetings aren't enough. It's a big business, and maybe every 3 months is just not good enough to meet the demands. To wait 3 months to discuss something may be too long.
Okay. Well, thank you for your support as well. And honestly, perhaps we can share a bit more in the village meetings to help continue the information to flow freely. And I know Robert is looking at some other website assets that we plan to use to inform the folks that are fans of the railroad, the communities we serve. So hopefully that can also. But we if there's need for more meetings, we should talk about that. Thank you.
John?
Sorry, I have a quick question. Last year, 2024, you handled about 37,000 back. This year it's about 29,000.
Yeah.
And
But you made the same revenue. Is that what I'm understanding or not?
I'll step in here for a second. That 37,000 was end of season last year, including the Santa trains.
Yeah.
So we're going to be. I mean, the easy thing is to get 20,000 people on the Santa trains, and then we have a phenomenal year.
Right.
But so that number is going to go up
It will go
quite
up.
a
Yeah.
bit.
That number's a funny number, right? Because it's not per dollar, right?
No.
And we're talking seats and butts for a certain amount of time.
That's right.
As opposed to revenue.
Yeah. Well, there is that revenue number where we're like
Sure,
$30 odd dollars up on revenue per seat or per guest.
33.
And that's without considering, the retail spend, any other spend that happens on the railroad. And we are going to look at those numbers going forward as well.
The, one last thing, what do you anticipate to be the effect on the lodgers in the Chama area with the change in the schedule? The Antonito area, obviously, most of that lodging happens up in Alamosa, which is not as directly our concern. But in Chama, the lodger's tax, based on room occupancy, is used to promote the village. And so I'm curious as to how you anticipate a one train a day regular schedule out of Chama affecting lodging.
Yeah, I don't think there'll be any change personally. However, I would like to, as you and I talked the other day, I would like to engage our lodging partners to find ways to package the experience to give folks the ability to pre-reserve among the lodging products that are here and our experience, because then they can start thinking about, well, let's just spend the weekend in Chama. Let's not just go for the day. And then they have all that ready for them to package up and buy and get on with it. So I don't anticipate there to be any hit. Frankly, I'm looking at incremental gain, not loss, because if you think about the special trains we're doing, the ones that are really focused on evening experiences, they're likely going to need lodging, right? So if we do, half dozen dinner trains, if we do, which we are planning to do, a dark sky train from each depot once a month, because there's only one night that it's completely dark a month. And so those groups will likely need to find lodging options, among others, right? So the tap takeovers, all the things that are going to happen in the evening, late afternoon into the evening, that's an opportunity for lodging organizations to capitalize on that.
And I think that this schedule gives us the opportunity to bring people in at other times other than just evening and night, because if trains are leaving at multiple times over the course of the season, people are going to come up and they'll be here for lunch, they'll be here for shopping, they'll be here to stay overnight as well. It should mix up the time when visitors are coming through Chama and Antonito, obviously, as well. And I'll make one more statement for the record. We expect mistakes will be made because you have to try new things. The other part of this is when you start new things, it takes a little while for it to build and to catch on. I think a lot of you know I do something at another railroad as well. And I always tell this story, but it's an important story. Our first year of doing Santa trains, we had about 2,500 riders, and it was an incredibly difficult 2,500 riders to get and to keep the trains operating. But that's grown up to 75,000 riders over 15 years. And it's because it would have been easy to throw in the towel after that first year and say, "Phew, it was cold. It was hard." But you keep at it, and you build your ridership.
Yeah.
And that's what it's going to take here. So I fully expect that there will be some special trains that go out with not a lot of people on them.
Right.
But over the course of the season, especially over the course of the years, we'll build that up immensely.
Very much. So again,
One last question. What do you anticipate at this point for ridership on the Christmas trains this season?
well, I don't have that number, John. I have to get back to you on that. But we're shooting for more than last year. Let's call it that. We're running. I think our schedule is calling for 4 departures a day from both depots. We're gonna go sort of more full out on decorations and lighting. This is our this has to be an earnest offering. Meaning we've got to do this right. We've got to improve it every year and give people a reason to come with their families. And we're still going to cater to the schools. So we have Monday set up for the schools to come and ride. I think it's $5 and $10 to get the local communities engaged, so they have the opportunity to see, what this thing is in their communities. But I'm always going to shoot for more. We need to make sure we program it correctly, make sure the offering's tight, to make sure that people see the value and the experience, and we'll keep making changes as we get that recipe corrected. Okay, I did want to just one comment before sort of maybe my time is up here, but this we mentioned the team a lot, and we should. I'm sort of at awe when I pop into each depot on rotating days to see everybody at work here, see how they engage our guests and their peers. It's a pretty spectacular thing to see. I've run dozens and dozens of companies, and when you see a group like this come together and deliver what they deliver on equipment that's impossible, on a rail line that's so long it seems impossible, to still stand up and smile, it's pretty phenomenal to see that happen. Also, the commission helps support everything that we're doing, right? So they're there to help keep our legislatures and sort of the governments in tuned and appeased at what we're doing, and we'll execute. So it's not a me thing. It's not any individual thing. It's the whole collective, sort of team that makes this possible, including you guys, right? So I know we're going to hear from the friends, the community members. So I take that super serious, and that's why I always welcome direct outreach. Call me, text me, email me. I'll come down and meet you because it's that important. So.
Eric, you mentioned short trains and express and limited.
Yeah.
Could you explain those?
Yeah. Well, the express is it's the Chama, Cumbres Chama. The limited is either Chama, Osier, Cumbres Osier, back. The shorter trains and the experience is really what I was referring to, and those are the themes around dinners and meals and experiences, the geology and astrology. So it's all of those things, and we're trying to keep the experience ideally 4 hours or under, right? And then some will do chunks of 2 to 3 hours to make sure, and then we get to tweak. We get to see what the demand is from the customer, and to see where we need to tweak either the link, the experience itself, and anything that's included in the ride.
Okay. Any other questions? Thank you, Eric. Local affairs. Kim, you want to go first?
Kind of hard to follow that. I think from a local affairs standpoint, what I would like to say is that I hope that the communities can embrace this change. I know people do not like change, and there's a lot of unanswered questions, and the uncertainty makes it difficult to embrace. But as far as I'm concerned, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. And I think the railroad had gotten to that point, and we need to evolve and move forward to make sure that the railroad thrives, and in turn the communities thrive too. So I'll be really hoping that the communities can can support this change, and in the end, it will be beneficial for all of us, most especially for our staff and crew that makes this all happen. So, I think, Mayor, really appreciate your support. It's imperative that we have your support. Let's just move forward and make this work. That's all I have.
And I don't have anything. I haven't been out and about very much. Been too busy at the restaurant. John?
Quick question. Do we have commitments from lodgers or dining facilities to be open when we're doing the Christmas things? Do you know?
Not yet. Not yet. Not yet. And but, we all know that's one of the elephants in the room, right? Is how do we feed people when they come here? How do we make sure lodging operations and operators are still open year round? But not yet on that.
Tom Hanks can make good hot dogs.
Yeah.
And I'll make another comment here, and that's we're certainly in a catch-22 here, because Chama needs the railroad to grow, railroad needs Chama to grow. So hopefully there's this incremental ramping up on both sides, where we're bringing in more people to help the businesses in Chama, and Chama businesses expand their offerings so that the railroad can grow. And I think as a team, we can definitely make this happen. And it certainly doesn't happen overnight, because business owners have to see patterns, but I'm really confident that this can happen.
I took a note of that though, John. Thanks for bringing that up on the food and lodging.
Mayor?
I'd just like to say, as far as the village of Chama, we are for growth, for progress. This past year alone, 3 restaurants have opened. Mom and Dad's, the Tourist, the Iron Rail, the barbecue place is going to be run, just changing hands right now, and I think that's going to be a positive.
Yeah.
And so, no, we don't want to stop. I could envision Main Street full of businesses where you just walk up and down. And another thing that I forgot to mention earlier is your board should probably be contacting the New Mexico Highway Department, Highway and Transportation, because they're going to put $32 million into Main Street here in Toronto.
Oh.
And that is in about the 30% completion. They're trying to figure out how not to hurt businesses that would be hurt by putting sidewalks on both sides of the road.
Right.
But where the railroad is right now, is going to be crucial for your input to them as to what you would like to see right near the railroad.
Wow. All right. Thank you for that.
Capital projects?
All right. Stephen did a good job of giving a summary of the equipment earlier. But in reading a lot of social media posts and comments and things on various forums, I realized that there's a big misunderstanding in the general public of how this railroad gets funded, what the state can support, what our funding appropriations can do, and what we can't do with them. So I thought I'd take a couple minutes and walk through that for everybody. Ticket revenue does not cover the expenses of this railroad. It just doesn't. It relies on the capital appropriations from both states. Without that and the infusion of capital money, the locomotives don't work, the track doesn't get maintained, the cars don't get taken care of. It's just that simple. Overall, the railroad's greatest expense is payroll. Its second greatest expense is insurance. And people think that the commission and the railroad get a special deal because we're related to the state. Insurance companies don't work that way. We don't get any special cut from any insurance company because we're quasi-government. Our funding from the state comes in basically 2 chunks. One that funds commission operations. The commission operations includes our property insurance to cover the assets the states own, as well as our annual audit costs. That's about all it covers anymore. The remaining capital is to cover the the investments in locomotives, cars, and track. State appropriations cannot be used for operations. If you use it for operations, it's fraud. Just simple as that. So in the Colorado appropriations each year now have to be expended in the year appropriated with no carryover. So the money that we were approved for that began July 1 by June 31st has to be gone or we lose it. So the window of planning has now gotten much shorter for the railroad to get through. The commission funding is about $700,000 from the two states when you combine it. And when we look at the insurance costs for property, we don't get to play in the state insurance pools. So we pay what commercial insured property costs would be for covering stuff. The capital funding from each state totals to about $2 million, about $1 million each from each state. We were in line for another $1 million from New Mexico, and at the very last minute, before the bill was signed or passed, $1 million of that was removed, so we only got $1 million out of New Mexico instead of $2 million. Let me put that in context of how this money gets used. You've got $2 million to work with. The track requires about $14,000 per mile per year to maintain and keep this current quality because of the cost of gravel, the cost of ties. That's $900,000 per year to kind of maintain the current track structure, bridges, etc. The Long Creek culvert repair that you heard about, the initial estimate of that repair was $800,000. John Matthews performed some magic along with Marvin and the track crew, and we spent $400,000 instead. So they cut the cost in half. It was an amazing savings. But those are the kinds of investments we were looking at. Ties are now about $90 a piece. Our used tie market dried up with COVID. Stephen talked about 484 is going to take about $2 million to get through its 1472 service day inspection. That is going to have to be programmed into this kind of a funding stream of about $2 million a year, along with all the other costs. So this is not something that's going to get jumped out and tackled next week. We talked about 492. It received a lot of private money and private donations to get started when we kicked that off. So it's had an awful lot of investment from private donations. We have 463 on the horizon in 27-28. That inspection should be less than $2 million because of a lot of running gear work going on now and other things. We look at it, and Colorado's financial problems as a result of Medicaid are not going to go away. And so we're looking at a 3.5% cut in the governor's budget that was released yesterday in our Colorado funding. So we're not seeing Colorado going to step up and raise this capital amount. We're appreciative to the Friends of the Cumbres and Toltec for discussing taking on the completion of PACRF. I think you guys can do a wonderful job with it and take some of the cost burden off the railroad to make this happen. So how do we address some of this? Well, we've received a matching grant from the Kdenlive Fund for $50,000. We go raise $50,000, they'll match it dollar for dollar to put towards 492. So we're kicking off right now a fundraising drive for more money for 492 to try to raise a total of $100,000 for Stephen to continue working on that locomotive. Kdenlive Fund also provided us a grant for the fourth parlor car. Marvin talked about starting that here in a few weeks. We discussed at the last meeting establishing a fund to raise money to replace the stables in 168. We know that over the next several years, those are all going to have to come out and get replaced. That's gonna take another $50,000, so we'll try and get that out of private funds. And I just wanna reiterate some of the capital projects that the workforce of the Cumbres and Toltec took on this year and made happen. You got 114 fully operational. The control system was completely replaced. The bugs worked out of it, and it's turned into a good locomotive. Tremendous progress on both 489 and 463 during the summer. Traditionally, this railroad has not taken on a lot of capital work while trying to maintain operations. And a huge amount of work got done on both those locomotives over the course of this summer. The repairs on the water systems at Cumbres and Sublette, replacing sections of pipeline. The lava water tank is in service, and it was used for the Friends photo charter. And I've seen some of the pictures of locomotives taking water at lava that are getting posted. Completion of a new coach. Marvin didn't say much, but coach 526 is done and will go in service. The completion of the Long Creek Culvert project, way under budget. Aligning 12% of the railroad's track. That's a huge accomplishment. Straightening out, taking the bumps out, leveling it. Completion of the $500,000 fire mitigation project. Colorado gave us a special appropriation for that. And if you've ridden the railroad, you see areas where it's opened up and you can actually have views now, but it also moved the fire danger back away from the track. And I want to say, the design is now complete and the construction contract award for construction of the Cumbres Pavilion is underway. The anticipation is from Eric and the crew, we'll have a pavilion up there next year, hopefully at the beginning of the season. This is a huge amount of work that this group has done in capital work during this course of this last year. I just want to say thank you guys.
Can you summarize that into an email that could be distributed?
Probably. Since I read it off a piece of paper.
I mean, we talked about on the Friends side is there is sort of a vacuum of how things are funded, and maybe that would have some positive impact. I mean, I don't know, Rick, what you think, but I think it would be nice if at least the board members do that.
But the funding for this railroad is incredibly complex, and the commission gets money from the two states for its operation. And then there's capital money that's appropriated to fix everything. And it takes both colors of money. You can't spend one for the other because that's how it's appropriated. And without that capital money, we don't have enough money to run the railroad.
As I recall, Scott, in the last year or maybe two, money was allowed to be used from the appropriations from marketing. Is that going to continue?
They made a special appropriation for marketing, and it comes in it comes from New Mexico. It's $101,000, and Alicia, it comes in the commission pot, right? Yeah. So, yeah, right now we think it'll continue. Until the legislation meets, passes the bill, you don't know. But
That's part of the 700,000 commission fund anyway?
yeah,
Obviously, with the change that you're anticipating in operating schedule, the only way people will know about that is if we manage to market it. Okay, well, that would be encouraging. Thank you.
Anything else? Tracks across borders?
John?
So, reporting on TABB activities, we've been working with the New Mexico Historic Preservation Division. We were able to get the Continental Divide signs renewed at no cost to TABB, which is good since TABB has no money. We're working on obtaining additional logo directional signs for use in New Mexico so people know these things are important because if we're changing our plan, TABB can be an asset in terms of keeping people around, at least in the Chama area, for another day. Let's see. So, 2 of these will be installed in Dulce, and 2 more will be stored for future use. We're interested in eventually installing an interpretive sign somewhere conspicuously on the depot grounds here in Chama to encourage people again to go and explore the Byway, which causes them to have more opportunity to eat here and get lodging here and purchase things from our gift shops. We've got a sponsorship program, although at the moment it's off to a very slow start with only 1 sponsor so far. And we are continuing to help the Jicarilla Apache attempt to acquire 2 stock cars to replace the 2 that have now almost completely fallen apart in Antonito. They are willing to demolish the 2 cars that are there with the materials, the metal materials from them going to the Friends when we get a couple of other cars arranged. We're trying to arrange to get the Jicarilla to be involved in the maintenance and rebuilding of these cars so that they will then have in their young people a vested interest in keeping the cars nice as we go into the future. And the nation is actively seeking grants to help fund that project once a source has been secured. I think that's about it in terms of the Tracks Across Borders plan. And I'll entertain questions if there are any.
I have one. Where do you anticipate the new cars coming from? The replacement cars?
What we're looking at now is getting a couple of the cars that are currently at the Rio Chama campground.
Okay.
We have been in talks with the owner there to see, they need to move some stuff. We're trying to see if we can figure out a win-win situation so they get stuff moved, we get stuff for the Jicarilla, and we promote the railroad.
Good. Thank you.
Okay?
Thanks, John.
All right.
Friends?
Commissioners, good morning. This is kind of a summary of the year activity for the Friends. Our work sessions actually ended here in the end of October. We started in May. We have completed, and I've got this list that's a matter of record. We have worked, our volunteers have worked on 16 various rail cars, 3 completed and turned over to the railroad and inspected and repaired brakes on 20 cars. We're working to rebuild the 168 at Colorado Springs. It's continuing with roof work. We got historic buildings that have been worked on, including Lava Pump House, Cumbres, Car Inspector's Home, Sublet Log Bunkhouse, Osier Station, Cumbres Speeder Shed number 1, and walking pathways, amongst others. Telegraphone booths have been rebuilt and placed back into locations. There's a balance of 3 booths, I understand, still waiting for reinstallation at this point. It's up to the road. I think they may be installed in the spring. Our maintenance away team has replaced 3 mileposts and have repaired the mileposts for additional installations in the year of 2026 that are going to be needed. Our crew has worked on the sign garden and depot gardens. The webcams, I am pleased to report, are back in operation and they're staying up with newer electronic equipment and support and greater broadband, and with the help of this gentleman right here, Mr. Tom Stewart, who lives in town. He is our go-to man when we need something done. Thank you very much, Tom.
That's why nothing gets done.
Thank you very much, Tom. We appreciate that. The Friends have completed 2 large rail charters this year with the help of the railroad. We had our 33rd annual Moonlight and Wine Train held in August. All on board relayed their compliments to us and to the train crew, the wine selection, and of course to the railroad itself. Thank you very much for that. A big job done. The bigger job done, we just came off of our 2-day photo charter completed at the end of October on the 26th and 27th. All passengers enjoy 2 chilly mornings followed by clear blue skies and great photo run-by sessions by the railroad on K36, 487 on the lead with 48 pushing from the rear. The charter exceeded all photographers' expectations, and it was in no short task. Okay, Leon, you still here? Leon, thank you for your help in arranging the rail car. Stephen Butler, thank you very much. It was an effort by everybody in the railroad to pull this off. Much last minute adjustments for rail car is passed, rail car is failed. We want this one, we got that one. So it pulled it off. Thank you very much to everybody and the friends, the railroad, the commission. Thank you very much. Everybody has given it a large kudo, and I like to say kudos once again to everybody. It couldn't have happened without teamwork. Truly mean that. Our membership, friends derive a lot of their membership, if not 75% on memberships from solicitations and mailing lists. We currently have about 1766 members. It varies up and down. We're going into the end of a year. Our end of the year activity tends to increase with renewals and gift memberships, and we're starting to see that rise. We're expecting a rise. Our goal is to get it increased by another 10 to 15%, if that's possible, in 26. We're going through new organizational changes and concepts, some of which I won't go into here, but it involves how we go to market through the web, how we go to the market with mail, how we go through with other media. The full board meeting for all the Friends directors will be happening in 1 week, this coming weekend coming up, which is going to be topics of how we're going to do this. On all directors will be in conversation. We look to have improvements in website and media presence and cooperation with the railroad. We would like to partner with the railroad in all ways possible, and we appreciate the help and support that we have been given. Thank you to all. And I'm just going to say that thank you very much to everyone, our friends, and there are volunteers, to the operating railroad, with all the help that you all put in untold, and to the commission whose support we all need. Thank you very much. And that concludes my statement for the year. Thank you.
Thank
Questions
you.
from anybody?
Thank you to the friends.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
Absolutely.
what a long list of accomplishments.
That's just some
Again.
of them. I mean, I just
Absolutely.
keep it short and sweet, as they say.
Thank you.
Thanks, Rick. New business, item A.
You gonna do public input or you gonna?
Oh, yeah, that's right. Public input, do we have anybody? I know, John, you were on here, Tom.
And me?
I think most of my questions got answered, and I appreciate the opportunity to
Okay.
I just wanted to talk about the docent program a little bit. That's been a challenge at best in matching up with the schedule in the early part of the season. We had 30 docents this year that actively rode a train. We had 2 new docents, one that actually works for Durango Silverton and comes down when you can on Saturdays. The other one is somebody you all know, Bill Locke. Bill rode about 5 times, I think, this year, and his goal is to do more next year. He turns out that he kind of likes it. We handed out over the course of the season about 20,000 trip maps. Those were revised at the beginning of the year, and I think they're going to undergo some more revision through the winter as we the Friends sort of put together our documentation a little more clearly. In the past, Rich Muth, Tom Hendershot, Chuck Brownfoot, Chuck Alaska, and Hank Morris were core coordinators, monthly coordinators, or Rich, of course, the leader. None of those guys could participate this year. Scott was here, I saw him. I don't know if Chuck's not here. Chuck was around some this year as a docent, not as a coordinator. So John Porco provided training and the intent was that he would spend a lot of time in Chama in the mornings. He broke his leg. Has pins holding his leg together, and he's either been in the hospital or rehab or at home rehab for, 3.5 months now? 2.5 months? A significant period of time in any case. What that meant was that I got stuck with all the docenting coordinating stuff, schedules and things. We did 243 trips with at least one docent. Several of those trips had 2, depending on what was going on, along with trainees. Next year, looks like we're gonna be able to train 7 new docents. but we're losing 7 docents. Your schedule will simplify our life significantly, so that's a great relief from that standpoint. Historically, at the Friends Board meeting that we're having next week, the docent tips that go into the Historic Preservation Fund for the Friends, and that's been what, $2,000-3,000 in that range. And so I thought we were going to be a little under, but I got a call yesterday from one of our docents that goes, I have several $100s in tips that I forgot to give you. So it'll be about a $2,500 check, which is pretty reasonable, right? Matches the revenue in essence. I'm not sure what that means, but I think the fact that docents, and I have no idea about cartoons, but I think the fact that the docents got roughly the same tip revenue, even in a challenging season, that says something about our riders. I'm not quite sure what. Maybe they're not as bright as I thought. But so in any case, the docents had a good program. The main thing for the winter for us is Pat Monfries and Greg Gardner. Greg out of Windsor, Colorado, Pat out of Round Rock, Texas, are coordinating revamping our training materials. We've had umpteen different styles over the years. We're adding on. We've got lots of docents that think everything that comes out of the ground is a weed, and every rock that falls is a rock. And so we're working on those kinds of things. We're also going to want to work with local history, cultural history, sawmills, and all those kinds of things. We're going to build modules, basically like Docent 101, Docent 102 kind of stuff. We're working with Eric, with Elena, a former employee, Tina, a recent but part-time employee, and then Kim Garcia, because they received the original good car attendant training guide. We're going to work with them and provide that to y'all as well. And if we need to, for the docenty part of employee training spring, we can take care of that for you as well.
Great.
Otherwise, not too much cost on our side, but there will be a little bit. That's basically the docent report. The only other thing I had was the spring wine train, the railroad's wine train that ran at night. And Stephen, you were on the train. Where did you go? Did you think that was a cool trip? Coming back was pretty nice outside of it.
Beautiful ride.
You know, right, because it was New Moon.
Okay.
Later on in the season, you ran the official train, right?
Yeah.
The night sky train. During leaving season, a person that had ridden, and I had talked to on that first wine train, had ridden your train and then rode again during the leafing season. We talked, and they said that they plan on being back every time you can do that.
Wow.
So I thought that was a good representation that a brand new customer never ridden the railroad and rode
Wow.
3 times in a year with 2 special trips.
Wow.
So just the special projects, whatever you call them, the special trips, I think that's going to be a real success if you can market them.
Yeah, definitely.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Tom.
Kim?
I'm gonna change hats here for just a second and become an RGRPC board member and not a Cumberland and Toltec Scenic Railroad commissioner. In August of this year, the RGRPC board met and voted to disband. RGRPC was the operator from 2000 to 2006 as a 501c3 corporation, and we felt at the time that we needed to keep the 501c3 status active in a support role for the Cumberland and Toltec Scenic Railroad. And to that end, RGRPC contributed over $42,000 for various projects like the 6500 series flat car purchase and restoration, donations for after the Lobato Trestle fire, a donation to help build the Cumberland Pavilion. We purchased a toolbox and a floor press for the Antonito shop. We printed the wall maps of the railroad for retail sale. We bought a plasma cutter for the Antonito shop. We were one of the sponsors for the Heritage Rail Convention in Santa Fe, and we made a donation to the Osier Dining Hall rebuild. This is all from donors that wanted to donate money to the railroad but weren't really comfortable donating to the commission because we didn't have a 501c3 status. It was more of a 170, whatever it is. But to that end, our donors have aged out or found projects that they're working on. So we felt at this time it was best to disband RGRPC, so the board voted to do that in August. We did have some cash remaining that had to be distributed to the support of the Cumberland and Toltec Scenic Railroad. In 2022, I purchased that metal picnic table that's in the sign garden. So RGRPC reimbursed me for it, so we're now donating that table to the commission. So here's the receipt. We tried to leave $15 in the account to close it out, but the bank said, no, we're not going to charge you for the last month. So I have $15 cash unrestricted for you, Alicia. and, and to that end, the board wanted me to express their thanks and how much we've appreciated being able to be involved in the support of the railroad for the past 15 years.
It's wonderful. Thank you to you and your board.
Yes, thanks a lot.
I will let them know.
New business. Can I get a motion to approve or disapprove memorandum of agreement between the Commission and New Mexico Minerals and Natural Resources Forestry Division?
So moved.
Second.
Mark?
Yes.
Scott?
Yes.
Kim?
Yes.
Billy? Yes. Motion is approved. Item B, can I get a motion to approve or disapprove resolution 2025-02, a resolution to adopt an open meeting policy?
So move.
Second.
Kim?
Yes.
Scott?
Yes.
Mark?
Yes.
Billy? Yes.
And that's something we do every day or every
Every
year.
year.
So not every day, but every year.
Motion passes. Item C, can I get a motion to approve or disapprove resolution 2025-03, a resolution to adopt a policy for memorials and cremains?
So moved.
Second,
Second.
Scott? Yea or nay?
Yay. Can I make a comment on this one?
Please.
This reflects some input from the Forest Service and BLM, where it requires a special use permit from the government to distribute cremains on federal property. So going up and scattering ashes from somebody in federal property associated with the Forest Service or BLM land, you can actually be penalized for that. And so this policy is to get us in alignment with those requirements. Doing it on commission property is something that this board can decide on, because it's under the legal definition privately held by the two states. Yes.
Billy, yes. Did I go to you yet?
No, not yet.
Why don't I go to you now?
Okay. Yes.
You didn't skip me.
Did I skip you?
Yes. Yes.
You wrote it.
Oh. Yes.
All thinking about the remains.
Motion passes. Item D, approve or disapprove changes to Policy and Procedure Manual, version 8.1 to reflect changes in minutes, locations, and additions of memorials and cremains policy.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Scott?
Yay.
Kim?
Yes.
Mark?
Yes.
Motion passes. Item E, can I get a motion to approve or disapprove use of HPF funds for materials to complete Paycar F not to exceed $50,000, which includes the balance due to W.T. Kirtman, Lanterns, Inc.?
So move.
Second.
You can second.
Yeah, you've been seconding a lot.
Yeah. I haven't been able to beat you in making the motions.
Kim?
Yes.
Scott?
Yes.
Mark?
Yes.
Billy? Yes. Item F. Can I get a motion to approve or disapprove 2026 assignment of officers? And those will be.
You want to read the list?
Chairman will be Mark Graybill, Vice Chairman Kim Smith Casford, Secretary Scott Gibbs, Treasurer Billy Elbrock.
Motion?
I move.
Second.
Second.
Mark?
Reluctant, yes.
Scott?
Yay.
Kim?
Yes.
Billy? Yes. Reluctantly not. After 2 years. Item G. Can I get a motion to approve or disapprove 2026 regular meeting dates? And those are?
February 26th in Antonito, May 9th, 2026 in Chama, August 15th, 2026 in Antonito, and November 7th, 2026 Chama.
They will be posted on our website.
They're posted on the website, they're posted in the OMA.
Okay.
I'll move it.
Second.
Second,
Mark?
yes.
Scott?
Yes.
Kim?
Yes.
Billy? Yes. Do we have any old business? Moving right along. Do we need an executive session?
I don't think
Don't believe so.
Moving right along. Okay, here we go. Can I get a motion?
Motion to adjourn.
Second,
All in favor?
Aye.
aye.
so. Aye.
Aye. Thank you very much. Thanks to Mayor V. Hill for the use of the facility.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thanks, everyone.